The Torah is not the law that leads to sin and death. It's the one that defines what is sin and what leads to death and what leads to life. And Paul tries to explain it to you. He says, without the law, I would not know sin. I wouldn't know what is sin and what is not sin. I would not know where the lines are, that when we use the word trespass, it means you've crossed a line or a boundary. I love that way of describing this. As opposed to right and wrong, sin and righteousness, I like the idea of trespass. You've crossed a boundary that you're not supposed to cross. That's what sin is. You've stepped over a line. Okay? And everybody knows what that's like when you're having a personal relationship, when someone has crossed a line with you. They've disrespected a boundary with you. A lot of you have had some horrible experiences where boundaries have been crossed and ignored. And you know that's sin. Not sin the way maybe he defines it, but sin meaning if you are in charge, that's sin against you. You trespassed. You violated my boundaries. Emotionally, physically, whatever it was. Well, Yahweh tells you what his boundaries are. And when you cross them, that is sin. That's trespassing. Stepping where you do not belong. We have a real hard time with boundaries. It's a disrespect of the vertical alignment. It's a disrespect of the word as given, as to saying, this is clean, this is unclean, this is right, this is wrong. Do this, don't do that. Those are all boundaries. You're being given a parameters and understanding. This is the place and space that it's safe for you to dwell in and work, walk, play, love, whatever you're going to do in this space. Outside of this space, it's not safe. Children will bang up against and do everything they can to figure out where the walls are. Okay? You put them in a little room, they handle a certain way in a little room. You put them in a giant room, they're going to run around until they figure out where the boundaries are. They're going to explore it. They're going to figure it out. You ever wonder why children are less active in a small space? Because they've already can see where the boundaries are. You put them in a big space, they're going to go and explore out and figure out how much can I do in this bigger space. We're human. We want to know where the walls are. Where are the boundaries? Are they real? Are they imagined? Do we believe him when he says there are walls? Because guess what? You don't literally walk up to it and go into that wall. You don't bang into a wall. Although life, he allows to happen when the blessings and the cursings, where then all of a sudden, almost not immediately, that's the problem, because it's not immediate, a consequence comes of your behavior, and you may or may not connect it correctly to the trespass. But you're trespassing. And he says here, David's talking about in verse 93, he says, let me never forget the boundaries you set, the instructions you give, your orders, because by them you have given me life. I know how to live. I know what brings blessing. I know what brings cursing. I know how to choose what brings blessing and that I can make better choices not to choose what brings cursing.